do this.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks. What are you talking about? I'm not coming at 12 o'clock. Okay, no, I'm not.
No, it's the opposite. He needs it at 10 o'clock. He needs it at 10 o'clock.
I'm warning you.
Okay, so the Gemara on the bottom of Hey with base. What was it? What was the subject over here? The Gemara was talking about back to the whole subject we're on about for a few days already, and the question was how come we need a pasuk that Yibum does not override Arayas? Of course it doesn't, because it's Asay Adlos Asay Sheish B'Kares. So the last try we're in the middle of, the Gemara tried about Mrs. Bezdin, which the Gemara calls Havara. Yesterday I called Havara is the Mrs. Bezdin, but probably the pshat is Havara means making the fire in order to heat up the lead, which they're going to kill her with. Srefas Baskoin. All of the Isha Obita. But so that was the point, that the Gemara means a pasuk to say that Bezdin doesn't execute on Shabbos. They're not going to make the fire. And the Gemara says not only the fire is the issue is going to be heating up the lead, which is also bishul. And therefore, the fact that you need a pasuk to say that it doesn't override Shabbos, why would you think it override Shabbos? Must be because I say sheish b'kares. That's what we're holding. We're holding in the middle of the kasha, and there's 3 lines from the bottom, Hey and base. Again, just settling down. The Gemara's kasha, the Gemara's suggested answer was the reason why you need a pasuk to say that Yibum does not override Arayas, which does Kares, is because maybe I say Dochalosa say Sheish B'Kares, as we see that you need a pasuk to say that Bezdin doesn't is not Machal Shabbos in order to execute. Why should you think so? It must be because I say Dochalosa say Sheish B'Kares, and therefore you need a pasuk. Now the Gemara is coming to reject that. 3 lines from the bottom. The Havamina that you would have thought that Bezdin does execute on Shabbos is not because the standard rule, I say, and we're going to say even Los Asay Sheish B'Kares, that mitzvah say to execute would override the Chil Shabbos. No, for sure not. The Havamina would have been different. There's no such thing. I say it's not the Los Asay Sheish B'Kares. The reason why we would have thought that Bezdin would kill on Shabbos is because of a Kal V'chomer. All this is what the Brisa says, that I would have thought that the Isser of Chil Shabbos is only when it's not relevant to Bezdin killing. But when Bezdin has to kill on Shabbos, capital punishment, so then maybe they do it on Shabbos, not because of Asay Dochalos Asay, but Mikal V'chomer. Last one on the page, because there's a Kal V'chomer that might have taught us that killing a Bezdin's capital punishment overrides Shabbos. What is that Kal V'chomer going to be? Ma'avoda shi chamura, top of the page. Ma'avoda shi chamura v'docha Shabbos v'tzicha docha asa shenema mimis v'chita gechen ulamos. If there's a Kohen doing avoda, but he happened to have killed, he killed, he murdered. The case is going to be that he has to go to a mikvah, or we have to kill him.
What does it mean, the avoda?
He's doing avoda in the Beis Hamikdash. Avoda in the Beis Hamikdash. Rashi says, Bezdin sholchem avin osolamus. He's chayv misa because he killed, and Bezdin has to kill him. And he's doing avoda. He's on the mizbeach doing avoda. So
he killed somebody, and now he's doing
avoda. Right. And Bezdin is supposed to kill him. So do we tell Bezdin wait until he finishes doing the avoda, or no? We're supposed to kill him. So we see that we taken that off the mizbeach and we kill him, even though he's in the middle of doing the avoda. Not Shabbos, avoda.
Oh, okay.
So which is more severe?
How did this come about?
We want to figure out.
He killed somebody.
He killed somebody a few days ago. He killed somebody, and he's chayv misa, and he's on the mizbeach now doing avoda.
The Beis Din already said he's chayv misa.
Let's say, and he came to the mizbeach to do avoda.
Why isn't he like in jail waiting to be killed?
He got out, and he's on the mizbeach, so he's doing avoda. So are we going to stop the process of killing him in order to do avoda? Or are we going to stop the avoda and kill him? So the halach is you stop the avoda and you kill him. That means that the importance of killing a murderer overrides avoda.
Okay.
And which is stronger, avoda or Shabbos? So we see that
avoda.
No, because avoda we do avoda on Shabbos, even though technically it would be considered a chil Shabbos. So we have 3. So
why is that so close to avoda and Shabbos? Some avoda is doich Shabbos.
Those that are just to get it without.
Okay, fine.
So that's the Gemara's Kal V'chomer. That was why you would have thought that the purpose of the capital punishment overrides avoda, which overrides Shabbos. So Kal V'chomer, capital punishment will override Shabbos. That would have been the reason we would have thought that we could execute on Shabbos. Not because I say because it is Kal V'chomer. Again, inside, top line, Ma avoda shichamura v'docha Shabbos. Avoda is more chamor. We're going to see that it overrides Shabbos. But the importance to get rid of a murderer even is more important than avoda, as he says. That even if there's if somebody who killed is on the mizbeach, take him away from the mizbeach in order to kill him. So Shabbos avoda, Shabbos, which is less than avoda, surely the importance to get rid of a murderer or to kill anybody that's high capital punishment should override it. That was the tzad that the Brisa had to be docha Shabbos, not because I say docha l'asashesh b'paris. I knew Kal V'chomer, and the Gemara continues with the Kal V'chomer to explain the whole Brisa. Umay o enu dekamar, and what's the other side? The Brisa says two sides. The Brisa says maybe yes, maybe not, maybe yes. What does the Brisa mean to say? On one hand, we said the Kal V'chomer is a reason why you should do it on Shabbos, but then the Brisa says that's another side. I could say that it's not a good Kal V'chomer because I'll show you other things that are docha avoda and it's not docha Shabbos. What if there's a kohen who's on the way to do avoda, or something to do with avoda, and the meis mitzvah comes his way? Does he become tamei? If he's going to become tamei, he's not going to be able to do the avoda. Or maybe the avoda is stronger, and he does the avoda and ignores the meis mitzvah. What's the halacha? You take care of the meis mitzvah. First meis mitzvah tochiach shadochas avoda, then dochas Shabbos. If you would go with the Kal V'chomer logic, you would say that the meis mitzvah is stronger than avoda, and avoda is stronger than Shabbos, as you said before. So also make the Kal V'chomer and say that meis mitzvah should be docha Shabbos. If you find the meis mitzvah on Shabbos, do you mechal Shabbos to bury him? So the Gemara thinks not. So if that's true, so then the Kal V'chomer we see is not a rule. You're not going to say anything which is more than avoda is more than Shabbos, because you see something that's more than avoda, and it's not more than Shabbos. So too, even though you're right that avoda, that Betzich is more than avoda, means the importance to kill capital punishment overrides avoda, doesn't necessarily mean that it's over Shabbos. Even though the logic sounds one is more than two, two is more than three, so one is more than three, but it's not so. That's called the tochiach. The Gemara is not. So that's what the Gemara is going to talk about, right? That the Gemara is going to talk about. Is it a given? So why is everybody so sure? So the Gemara also thinks so, but the Gemara is going to right away say we're not so sure.
What is the rice?
Whatever the rice would have been, if there be the issue of the rice necessary in order to better bury him, to carry him, to dig, whatever it might be.
Okay.
So
what's the red numbers that are covered?
There's Shabbos, avoda, and Ritzich. I just wanted to make it easy. What the three components are for the Kal V'chomer. Avoda, Ritzich is more than avoda. Avoda is more than Shabbos. So Ritzich is more than Shabbos. Now we're going to say it's not true because meis mitzvah. What do you see? Dochas avoda, vein dochas Shabbos. That even though the importance of burying a meis mitzvah does override avoda, and avoda is more than Shabbos, but you don't say that a meis mitzvah you imachal Shabbos in order to bury a meis mitzvah. So that would be a pircha that knocks off the Kal V'chomer. But then the Brisa says again, but maybe yes, means it goes maybe yes, maybe not, maybe yes. What's the maybe yes? Who told? Why is everybody so sure that a meis mitzvah is not buried on Shabbos? Maybe it is. You have a spari here to say the Kal V'chomer is right here that meis mitzvah overrides avoda, avoda overrides Shabbos. So maybe it is true. Maybe it is true that meis mitzvah would override Shabbos also. Ma avoda she docha Shabbos, course meis mitzvah docha. It brings in the pasuk to say this is the more than bring down before. There's a pasuk, and there you learn out that that meis mitzvah does override avoda, but Shabbos she nitcham ipnei avoda and then she take worse meis mitzvah dochosa. That Shabbos, which is less than avoda, so make this Kal V'chomer and say meis mitzvah is more than avoda. Avoda is more than Shabbos, so meis mitzvah is more than Shabbos. Means the whole period that we use, we're questioning it. Maybe it's not true. Maybe you do bury a meis mitzvah on Shabbos. So if so, we don't know what's going to be the din about capital punishment on Shabbos. It means the whole reason we're saying capital punishment, we said the svar would be capital punishment does docha Shabbos. The only reason we thought not is because meis mitzvah maybe is not docha Shabbos, but we don't know that either. So everything's up for discussion. Talmud lo lo suvar. That's why the Brisa says that the pasuk says lo suvar weish v'chol mosh v'seichem. Mosh v'seichem we said means even in Bezdin. We had a drashi yesterday to say mosh Shabbos means in Bezdin, and that pasuk says don't execute on Shabbos. So what did the Gemara do? It got out of the proof. That means the Gemara was trying to say that there is a proof that I say dochalosa say sheish b'kares, because the Gemara thought that that's the reason that the Brisa had havamina to execute capital punishment on Shabbos. If so, you see, I say Dochalosa Sheish B'Karis. And the Gemara says, no, that's not what it meant. The Bryce never meant that. The Bryce meant to have you'd have such a couple of Homer from Avoda, the Tzicha, Avoda, Shabbos, and that's why the word Havamina. But there's no such thing. There's no such thing as I say Dochalosa Sheish B'Karis. We put that aside. That's not the Pshat in the Bryce, so it doesn't affect us at all.
So that means you believe the kind didn't avoid it and not killing on Shabbos?
You put three things together. You put together a Avoda with Shabbos and why is it Avoda and Shabbos? You put all three together. Again, we had a case about.
You're talking about Shabbos.
So the Gemara comes out that the capital punishment is Docha Avoda, and Avoda is Docha Shabbos, but capital punishment is not Docha Shabbos.
Okay, so now the kasha is if a kohen is doing avodah on Shabbos, and he's a murderer, and we can't call him on
We're not going to kill him anyway. So there's
Shabbos, so we let him do it.
Yeah. The whole reason we take him down for Avoda is because we want to kill him, but he can't kill him anyway. Yeah.
So I think it.
You want to put all the cases, well, be in both cases together. You're right. You're making the cheshbon. You're making the cheshbon. After the Gemara is over, you want to know what will be in this case. Nice.
Keep it simple to not-
Okay. So the next 1, 2, 3, about 10, 12 lines, the next things that's in parentheses is just going back, retracking to according to what we thought the Brisa says. Again, the Brisa, I don't have yesterday's Amud Beis, a long Brisa, it talked about, is it true, do we do capital punishment on Shabbos? And it said, you might think yes, and the answer is no. The Brisa said, you might think yes, you might think not, you might think yes, and it comes out that you don't. But yesterday's Gemara, it means the beginning, the Gemara tried to talk about Aseder Chalosa Sheish B'Karis. That was the whole cheshbon. And the Gemara came out just today that that's not the pshat. The pshat was because of a Kal V'chomer, and the Kal V'chomer is not good. That's the whole, but that's what the Brisa meant. And now the Gemara is backtracking to what, to theoretically, what we thought. We thought the pshat was because Aseder Chalosa. I say, how would the Brisa have read according to that Havamina? It's not relevant anymore because we just said it's not the pshat. But the Gemara is just interested, how did he even think that the Brisa is talking about Aseder Chalosa? Say. It means the Brisa says maybe you do capital punishment because I said the Chalosa says Sheish B'Karis, and then maybe not, and then maybe yes. So what were all the steps of the Brisa? What was going through the Brisa's mind till it came to the pasuk close about to say that you don't do capital punishment on Shabbos? So that's what the Gemara talks about now. According to what we thought, the Salkadaita, what we thought about that Asya said the Chalosa say we thought the proud of the Brisa was that I say the Chalosa say Sheish B'Karis. That's the reason why we would have done capital punishment on Shabbos. What was the tzad that the Brisa said? Oh, not maybe not. What's the maybe yes, maybe not? So the Gemara goes with the Brisa according to that Havamin. Mani mekayim echalamos yumos b'sham malachos chos mimisas bezdin avla misas bezdin dachi Shabbos das yaseh v'dachi lo saseh. The Brisa first presented the tzad that you should do capital punishment on Shabbos because I say the Chalosa say Sheish B'Karis. That was the way we learned the whole time that there's a mitzvah say to do capital punishment. There's a Chil Shabbos, you're not allowed to be Mechal Shabbos, and it's even very serious, lo saseh, it's Karis, it's Skila. But you might think, I say it's Dochalosa say Sheish B'Karis. Then the Brisa said, maybe not. No, at this point itself. But lo saseh greater, but lo saseh Sheish B'Karis, such a thing not. The Brisa itself is going through the motions that maybe yes, maybe not. Is say Dochalosa say even Sheish B'Karis? You thought that maybe you should do capital punishment because I say the Chalosa say, but you mean to say that even on the Chil Shabbos you're going to do I say the Chalosa say Sheish B'Karis, that it's even going to override Shabbos, which is so severe. Maybe you don't say that. Maybe only I say the Chalosa say plain, but not a Losa say Sheish B'Karis. Then the Brisa says maybe yes. How does it go? Maybe yes, maybe not, maybe yes. Hadramar Atu I say do Chalosa say lav Losa say Chamumina because I say v'dachivei. The Gemara says that I say is Dochalosa say is also a chiddush. Which is more severe, a positive commandment or a negative commandment? A negative commandment is more severe. You see, that's more punishable. I say is not mitzvah. Say is less than a lo say, but you still see that I say is Dochalosa say. So it's able to do again. It overrides something which is bigger than it. So if so, maybe it even overrides very big.
Very big.
If it could beat up somebody bigger than him, maybe it could beat up somebody even much bigger than him. Because the whole thing is a chiddush. Yesterday, Moshe spoke about the tzad. Why should Nataka say be Dochalosa say? So there was I don't know who said it. Somebody said because the mitzvah says you never can make up. The losa say eventually you can erase the problem. But to get whatever the svara is going to be, but you see that I say is Dochalosa. What?
You heard the shame that Josh Saran, the Abbas So whatever reason it's going to be, that I say is Dochalosa say, even though the Losa say is more chamor, technically the Losa say is more chamor. And still, for some reason, I say is Dochalosa say. So for that,
svara for that money, it could be that maybe I say dochalosa say that's chomer also. So the price itself is juggling this point is I say dochalosa say sheish b'koros.
This is a different price than with
There's one price that we're trying to we're analyzing it the whole time. There's one price on Amud Beis.
one price.
The price was Amud Beis. The price was yesterday's Amud Beis,
Okay.
and that talked about if you do streifas, if you do streifa, if Bezdin is going to kill on Shabbos. That's the price. The price says you might think yes, you might think not, you might think yes. Kamash Plan Lo Tovara that you don't. And have to bring B'chol Moshe V'Seichem to tell you that it means even in Bezdin is a drasha to say that you don't do capital punishment on Shabbos. And we're trying to figure out why would we have thought yes? We thought it's because I say Dochalosa say, and that's what the Brisa now. The Gemara explains the Brisa would have meant that maybe it's Dochalosa say Sheish B'Koros, maybe it's not. That's the subject. Maybe it is, and the Gemara comes up Lo Savar. The Brisa says Lo Savar that capital punishment is not Docha Shabbos. But as far as we're concerned, we got out of the whole subject that you don't see it as anything to do with I say Dochalosa say. This is only Havamina, but we said that not necessarily. It could be that there's no Havamina that I say Dochalosa say Sheish B'Koros. The whole reason why the Brisa thought that it's going to be capital punishment is going to be Docha is because of the Kal V'chomer with Mitzicha, Avoda, and Shabbos, and that's what the Brisa says that it's not Docha. But there's no such thing as I say Dochalosa say Sheish B'Koros. So we tried that was already 3 tries. Altogether, we had already 6 tries about I say Dochalosa say Sheish B'Koros. First, it took us 2 daf just to prove I say Dochalosa say, even a plain one, even a plain Losa say. It took us 2 pages in the beginning, Daf Dalet and Daf Hey, and there I spoke about Klein B'tzitzis, that Tzitzis overrides Shandus. And we came out that that's the way it is. Successfully, we got out of that I say Dochalosa say.
Frankly speaking, we can wear Klein and that's it. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, also not for now because in the trend, I say it's too much to hold. It's too many balls to juggle to get another ball in.
But I'm saying that's the way it is. I'm just chicken.
Just again. We the sugi was.
Don't do it today.
I won't do it.
I say the first it took us 2 days to figure out I say Dochalosa say, and that came out from Klein B'tzitzis, and it's I say Dochalosa say. But the Gemara said, but there's no such thing I say Dochalosa say Sheish B'Koros. And is there such a Havamina I say Dochalosa say Sheish B'Koros that you think that Yibum overrides Koros? So the Gemara tried Pesach, Mila, Pesach, Tamid, all those things. You do see that it overrides overrides a Koros, but the Gemara knocked all those down because there's Lefnei Adibor. That wasn't a good. That's not a right. Then the Gemara tried the past couple of days. Yesterday the Gemara tried about Kibbut over Aim, about being Docha Shabbos. The Gemara tried about being Beis Hamikdash being Docha Shabbos, and now the Gemara tried about capital punishment being Docha Shabbos. Those were not 3 tries to try to show that yes, you would have thought I say Dochalosa Sheish B'Koros, but all of them the Gemara knocked down. So now we're still back to the problem that was mentioned already from Daf Gimel Amud Beis already, and we're up to Daf Vav. This is Zion, and the Gemara now is going to continue to try to say Pshat in the Brisa. The difficulty in the Brisa was that it says a pasuk to say that Yibum does not override a rayas of Koros. Why in the world would you have thought? We gave up already. I say it's not. We tried 6 times, it didn't work. I say it's not Dochalosa say Sheish B'Koros. So now we have the questions. What did the Brisa need a pasuk for? The same old kasha is still staring at us. I don't know if everybody's sleeping at night. The kasha is that you don't need a pasuk of Aleha because of course I say is that of course Yibum was not Docha Chiv Koros. How could it be Chayiv? Why do you need a pasuk for? Of course it's not. That's what we're working on still. Today we're gonna have the answer, so everyone should sleep as well. You don't know why you can't sleep. Okay, Ella Israel. You need a pasuk. You might think that the reason that Yibum is going to override Arayas, for instance, Achosishto, his wife's sister, because the fact that he always does Yibum is always Eshesach. Every time he does Yibum is marrying his brother's wife. Yeah. His brother's wife, by definition, the Yibum is always a brother's wife. A brother's wife is a Chiv Koros. And the fact that the Torah says to do Yibum, even though she's a brother's wife, so that's called Dav Shayi B'chlal, B'yasam Kol Olamei, that a brother's wife was included in all the other Arayas, and now it was what's the word? Specified, maybe a better word, singled out. It was singled out that it says about that. It says that Yibum overrides it. Yibum overrides the issue of marrying your brother's wife.
Means a losa say don't.
it was an
It's a
Isser.
riot.
It was included in all the rice. They were all the rice, and it was included in all the like all any other rice.
Yep.
And then Yatsam and Akla,
Exception.
and it says that by Yibum overrides that.
Yeah.
So Lo L'Lamad L'Asma Yatsa, Ela L'Lamad L'Klal Kula Yatsa. It doesn't only teach about itself; it teaches about the whole klal. So therefore, we should learn the same way that the mitzvah Yibum overrides the Isser of marrying a brother's wife. It also overrides the Isser of marrying a wife's sister, and other kinds of arayas. That's what we would have thought. Not because I say the cholosa, that's all over. That's read history. It's not true. Not to say the cholosa sheish b'kar. It's a new svara because there's a double shayi b'chlal.
Even a wife's co-wife?
Forget about the co-wives.
Okay.
Also, keep
Right,
simple.
not just
Keep
arayas.
simple. Arayas, right? We're going to the pasuk that says that there's a pasuk. Allah tells you that you don't do ibum if it's a wife's sister. And the question was, what do you need a pasuk for? It's a rayas. Of course, it's not. You might think that a brother's wife is also a rayas, and the pasuk says that Yibum overrides the Isser marrying a brother's wife. So too, with all the other rayas also, you would have thought that the mitzvah of Yibum overrides it. So that's why you need a pasuk to say that it doesn't. The Gemara is going to bring an example of Davar Shayi B'chlal. We learned this once upon a time. We went through the 13 attributes of Rabbi Shmuel over there, and we had the verse that says all the examples. Here's going to be an example. The Tanya, Davar Shayi B'chlal, etc. Something which is inside was part of a general rule, and it was singled out, so it doesn't just teach about itself. It teaches about everything. Kate said, what's an example? It says in the side by Yikra Vav, that's going to be this parsha. Chabusta pointed out that this is going to be parsha Tzav. It says on a korban shlomim, if somebody eats it when he's tamei, it says chayv kares. That's what it says in this week's parsha. It talks about all the kabbanas, and it says if someone eats a korban shlomim and he's tamei, he's chayv kares. If a person eats meat from a korban shlomim and he's tamei, he's chayv kares. The truth is that it says in Parshas Emor at length. This is in Parshas Tzav. In Parshas Emor, it says at length over there the din about eating kachim when he's tamei, there is chayv kares. And here in Parshas Tzav it says it again. It means we should ask. Everyone should jump up. Why does it say it here for? It says in Parshas Emor, a whole long parsha. Why does it say it here for? That's called Davar Shayi B'chlal. It was included in Parshas Emor. It says at length that if someone eats kachim, he's chayv kares. So why does it say it again? The pasuk in Parshas Tzav. Yeah. If it's b'shogeg, then it's going to be chayv v'chatas. But it's a chiyuv kares. So lama yatsu. How come the pasuk talks about a korban shlomim? Lahakish alein v'lo malacha ma shlomim yuchadim kachim mizbeach. Avkol kachim mizbeach. Yashu kachim bedek abayis. That if you would have learned Parshas Emor, that it says over there, if somebody's tamei and he eats kachim, he's chayv kares. You would have thought maybe kachim includes also kachim bedek abayis. There are two kinds of kachim. There's kachim mizbeach, which means karbanis. All kinds of karbanis, olas, shlomim, whatever it is. Asham, Khatas, what did I say? So all kinds of kabbalas. The person is tamei. The person is tamei, and he ate kachim. He's chayiv kares. In Parshas Emor, when it says this halacha, it doesn't say kabbalas dafke. It says kachim. The word kachim might also include kachim bedek abayis. Kachim bedek abayis means that somebody donated something to be for the Beis Hamikdash. Could be for the building, to kelim, things that you need. That's not called kachim mizbeach. Kachim mizbeach means things that were consecrated to be brought onto the mizbeach. Kachim bedek abayis means things that were consecrated for the building, So if someone would eat kachim, that was not made for the mizbeach. Somebody donated an animal. No, that's talking about eating it when he's tamei. Eating when he's tamei. We're talking about this. If he eats it when he's tamei, he's chayv kares. What if somebody would eat an animal which was consecrated not to the mizbeach? It was consecrated to be for its value should go to the Beis Hamikdash. The cow was worth $100. He shouldn't be eating it, and he ate it, and he's tamei. He ate, and he's tamei. He's tamei, and he ate it. Is he chayv kares because he ate kachim? You might think so. The pasuk says if you eat kachim when you're tamei, it's chayv kares. So this is the case. The Torah in Parshas Tzav went out of its way to single out an example, and it says shlomim. Here it says a shlomim. The pasuk is v'nefesh asher tochal basar mizevach hashlomim. And it didn't have to say that. There has a pasuk in Parshas Emor that says if you eat kachim, it's chayv kares. The reason why it's singled out this is to say that the klal is very similar. The klal is only talking about kachim mizbeach, a shlomim, a ola, a chatas, but not the kachim bedek abayis. That's why this is an example of a davar shayi b'chlal. There was shlomim would have been included in that klal of Parshas Emor. Why does it single it out? In order to compare that the rest of the klal is also similar to a shlomim. Ma shlomim is talking about kachim mizbeach. Of kol, the whole parsha that it says in Parshas emor about not eating kachim when he's tamei is kachim mizbeach. Yashu ker berek abayis that is not chayv koros if he eats it when he's tamei. He was more. He's meila, regular meila that he benefited. So he's chayv meila, but it's not going to be chayv koros for eating kachim when he's tamei. That's what was over there. That's just an example to tell us that this yesod that we say in the morning. Whoever says it about Rishmal Omer, there's a davar shayv b'chlal. And now how's it going to apply over here? They say Havamena, hey Allah for the abbreviation apostrophe. A brother's wife is included in all the rayas, and the Torah says it as a case that Yibum overrides it. That you would learn out that since the Torah says Yibum overrides the issue of marrying a brother's wife, so too it overrides any kind of an erva, a wife's sister, a daughter, a mother-in-law, anything. The same way that the Torah that Yibum overrides marrying a brother's wife, so too it overrides anything else. That's what the Gemara suggests as a possible answer.
The general rule again is to do what? To take a klal.
It's in the green over here.
Yeah.
Something which was included in the generality, and it was singled out to teach. It wasn't only to teach for itself. It was singled out to teach on the whole klal.
Singled out to exclude it, or singled out
Not to exclude it. It was explained not only to itself, not to explain it, whatever is explained about itself also applies to everything else also. And therefore, the same way that over there it says that the shlomim, that's the kind of klal we're talking about. It's explaining the whole klal. That even though he said kachim in general, but now I tell you shlomim, that means that the kachim is something which is going to be like a shlomim, not going to be kachim berek habayis. And so to over here, that it says the arayis are usher in general, then the Torah says by Yibum that it overrides a brother's wife. So too it overrides all of the arayis. You would have thought. That's why you need a pasuk to say that it doesn't override other arayis. At this point, the Gemara is happy. Now the Gemara is going to knock it down. Midami. Here we start from Midami. What kind of comparison is that? The Gemara is going to say you got the wrong rule. Of the 13 attributes over there, you got the wrong one. This case of the brother's wife is not going to be like that. Hasam klal be'isser uprat be'isser. Hacha klal be'isser uprat be'heter. Haladami elav davar shay b'chlal yasalidim davar chadash. Whoever says the 13 attributes in the morning has this one also. This is a davar shay b'chlal yasalidim davar chadash. When you have something which was inside a generality and it was taken out and singled out to say something about it, there's a difference if it was singled out to say something which was in the klal or something which is against the klal. This case, we said before, was that it said kachim, if someone eats kachim and he's tamei, it's chayv koros. And then we say if someone eats shlomim and he's tamei, it's chayv koros. It didn't say the opposite. It said the same thing over again. It said first a generality, and it said kachim. If someone eats kachim when he's tamei, he's chayv koros. And then it says that someone eats shlomim and he's tamei, he's chayv koros. That's called a davar shayv b'chlal v'yasam na'klal. It was mentioned already. Why are you singling it out for? But here's the opposite. Here we're saying it's a davar shayv b'chlal v'yasam lidim davar chadash. Here's the case that something was in the generality, and now the Torah singled it out to say that it's different than we thought. It's almost opposite. Here we're not saying that it's part of the klal. We're saying that it's yasam lidim davar chadash. All our eyes are rasa, and I was saying that a brother's wife is mutter in the case of Yibum. That's not called davar shayv b'chlal. That's called davar shayv b'chlal. That it was in the klal that it was usher, a riser usher. You're not allowed to marry all these. And now the pasuk is saying there's something about this single one that it's mutter b'makom yibum. On that you don't say, oh, so everything's mutter b'makom yibum. You got it wrong. You misapplied the rule. You took the wrong rule for your case. The case you're saying that everything was usher because of a rise, and one of them was singled out to be mutter. That's not the klal called davar shayv b'chlal v'yasam na'klal lamed. That's coming. That's a lead in the davar chadash. It singled it out and said something's different about it. All the rice are rasa, and b'makom yibum says this one is mutter. You don't learn out from there that everything else is mutter. That's singled out, then it stays singled out. And the Gemara is going to continue to tell us this new law called yasal lead in the davar chadash that not only is it singled out and it doesn't apply to the rest of the klal, you even need a lot of tircha to say that it still is similar to the rest of the klal and everything else that it wasn't singled out to be different. We'll go on to see the example that it's going to say. But the general idea that the Gemara is doing is clear, that the Gemara has 13 attributes over there. And
this isn't one of the 13.
It is.
It's also one of the 13.
Yeah. Anybody have a siddur?
I
Oh, you have a siddur?
All the parts say the cloud, the yachts, the tone, shukin, yachts,
Further.
further. All the parts say the cloud, the yachts, the tone, chadash.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Zero lechalo ash yachazirenu aksub lechalo ferish.
That's it. That's it.
Number 11.
And the 13 is what? No, the last one is the Slav Shoy B'Chlal, right?
Shnei ksuvim.
Oh, no. So then, I'm sorry, before that?
Is
Oh, so number 12.
Var halamed, meaning
Oh, so- No, so I got this. Where's the one that says Davar Shoy B'Chlal V'Yasel Lamed?
That's 11.
No,
I'm
not
sorry,
not
10.
no, 10. 10 and 11.
10 and
So the
11.
Gemara thought that it's number 10, and the Gemara says no, it's number 11.
And they were using number 8. Number 8 we had last week.
So then I'm sorry, I was listening to number 10. What is number 10?
Number 10 is called the Varshaya B'Klal V'Yatzav L'Ton Ton Acher.
No, so not that one.
Called the Varshaya B'Klal V'Yatzav L'Ton B'Var Chadash.
That's 11, yes?
That's 11.
And what's the one about the Hayu B'Chlal V'Yatzel Ma'Klal L'Lamed? That's not, okay, I'm opening this.
Lamed, that's number 8.
Okay, 8.
Number
So the Gemara thought that it's 8, and the Gemara says no, it's number 11.
Number 8 is the one that we had in last week's part. We had the Hema, and then it said Bakar Tzon.
Let's keep to the Gemara. Here the Gemara says that it says Shlomim, and in Parshas Emor it says Kochim in general.
So it has Shlomim and then
Don't give other examples. Keep
Yeah, okay.
keep the Gemara. So the Gemara says that in Parshas Emor it says animals, it says Kochim in general, and Parshas
it says
Kochim.
Shlomim.
Don't need somebody needs
So
to.
it has to be like it's all.
It was saying
Shlomim,
the
it has to
same
be the
thing.
Same as Shlomim.
And over there it says that Kochim
Yeah.
is Chayiv Koros if he eats it b'tumah, and then it says Shlomim is Chayiv Koros if he eats it b'tumah. That's called the Dav Shoy B'Chlal V'Yasel Ma'Klal L'Lamed, and that's what we had before. But this case about even being different, it says something different about it. Until now, you know, our rice is usher. Now you're saying that the Mokim Yibum, you're allowed to marry your brother's wife. That's not saying that it's that's called Yasal Lidin V'Davar Chodesh. That's saying there's a new thing about it. On this, we don't say that so too everything is mutter. On the contrary, this thing is out, and we might think that it's all the way out. We have to have sukkim to say that besides the thing that it's out, it's also going to be part of the klal as far as everything else goes. That you're not allowed, you don't even put it back into the klal until the pasuk itself is going to tell you explicitly that it's part of the klal for everything else besides the one exception that I said. And now I was going to give an example of this. The Tanya. What is an example of this new klal number 11 of the Rabbi Shmuel? It says in the pasuk, "V'shachat es hakeves b'mkom asher yishchat es hachatas v'esaola b'mkom hakodesh ki kachatas ha'asham hu lakohen." That's all the pasuk. That's to highlight it. Maybe it'll make it easier to highlight this pasuk. V'shachat es hakeves
Where is it?
B'mkom.
Oh, the time. I see. Okay.
asher yishchat es haola b'mkom hakodesh ki kachatas ha'asham hu lakohen. Over there, it's talking about by Mitzorah, the korbanos that he brings in for his Torah process. And it says that there's a korban Hashem over there, and it says that you shech that sheep, that's a korban Hashem, in the same place where you shech the korban chatas and the korban ola, which is in the north, the Mekom HaKodesh, because Hashem is like a chatas. That's the pasuk. She'en tamad lo ma'achatas ha'Hashem. The end of the pasuk that says, this pasuk, ki chatas ha'Hashem hu, that's extra. To say that Hashem is like a chatas is extra because it says already, shech the korban in the Hashem in the same place where you shech the chatas and the ola. And also the other circumstances, those Hashem, it says all these halachas already. So why does the pasuk tell you that Hashem is like a chatas? She'en tamad lo ma'achatas Hashem. It doesn't have to say it. The pasuk is extra. Why does it say it? Because it was lidin the davar chadash. The fishi Hashem mitzvah lidin the davar chadash. Because you find something unique about the Hashem mitzvah that you don't have by other korbanos. What is that? The bo and yad, the bo and regular imanis, that the blood of the korban Hashem you put onto the thumb and the toe, the big toe, and therefore that's something new that you don't have by other korbanos. So you might think that it's not considered, doesn't go to regular korbanos at all. It's not going to be the other halachas of korbanos. You might think that it's not considered like other korbanos that you're supposed to put the blood onto the mizbeach, and also they murim those parts of the fats that go onto the mizbeach, because you see that it's different. Once the Torah says something different about it, so maybe it's different legamri, and that you have to have a pasuk to say that no, only for what we specified, but we didn't specify, and you put blood on the mizbeach also. You also put blood onto the thumb and the toe of the mitzvah, but you do everything else normal also. But there, that's the one's trying. This is really like extra credit. The Gemara is trying to point out that you don't learn from there to the rest of the klal. You don't say that now all kinds of korban nasham are going to put the blood on the toe on the thumb and the toe. You're not going to say that. This one is unique, and it stays unique. You might think that it's so unique that it even loses its comparison to its similarity to other korbanos also. So that you have to bring it back. You have to specifically bring it back. But there's nothing about learning out everything else. You got the wrong klal. In short, the Gemara says what I said before. That's the point. The Gemara is very marvelous to tell you more dinim about it. But the point is to say that when it's just a klal, it doesn't go back to teach on the rest of the klal. It stays on its own. If it's coming, it says something unique which is different about it. If it says again something which was already said, that's the first klal that you say to qualify what kind of klal we're talking about. But if it says something which is unique, different, like over here, you had a korban nasham, and now it says this korban nasham, he's supposed to put blood onto the toes and the toe and the big toe and the thumbs. So then it's something which is unique. You don't have other places. You don't say that applies to everything else also. On the contrary, you even need psukim to say that as far as the regular other halachas, it still retains the halacha of a korban nasham. That's why the pasuk has to put it back in again. You have to bring it back in again. Just like the korban chatas, other korbanos needs to put blood on the mizbeach and also the mur go on the mizbeach. So too this Hashem. The words here are a little difficult. The idea the Gemara seems to be saying is that the one about lo hadri kua is talking about bringing it back. But just if you have a davar shay b'chlal, v'yat and klal, lead them with davar achadash, v'yat lead them davar achadash. You don't say it applies to everything else. The words seem to mean that only for the thing that went out, and nothing else went out. I'm changing the words a little bit. I didn't find the gears to change, but the idea of the Gemara, the gist of the Gemara seems to be saying that when something is singled out and says something different about it that was part of the klal, if only that thing is the so. You don't say that it goes back to the rest of the klal also. Mm-hmm. And Nachanami, also here, by Eshesach, no, it's not a reason that since it's mutter to do yibum to a brother's wife, therefore I would think that applies to all kinds of arayis also. Eshesach ishtar arayis lo. Even though the brother's wife is singled out that it's mutter for yibum, that's not a reason to say that all arayis is mutter. No, that's not a reason, because it was yasal lidin the davar chadash. So the Gemara knocked out this teretz. Again, just to sum up what we said, that we're trying to figure out why do you need a pasuk to say that yibum doesn't override a rice? Of course it doesn't. A rice is very chomo. Why should you think that yibum overrides it? I say the chalosa say no, not a say seish bakar, no say seish bakaris. So why should you have to have a pasuk for it? Pasuk. So the Gemara tries because a brother's wife is also a rayas, and you see that's mutter, so maybe everything else is also mutter. The Gemara says, no, you got it wrong. This is not a Davashay B'chlav Yasam Kalameh. This is a Davashay B'chlav Yasam Lidim Davar Achadash. And that means it says something unique about it, that a rice is usher and this is mutter. So you're not going to say, therefore all the rice is mutter also b'mokam yibam. So another strike. We didn't get it yet. Now the Gemara is going to try another try. This one's going to work.
Wait. That last one, that doesn't show.
It doesn't show, there's no havamina that other rice should be mutter. Even though a brother's wife is mutter, that's not a reason to say everything else is mutter.
Right, because it's
davar chadash.
It's number 11.
It's number 11. It's not number 8. Right. All right, and the surely that's where the extra credit. But the surely doesn't teach on the rest of the klal. The same way that you don't say that other kabbanas also you put blood on the thumbs. No such thing. This one is different. It's so different, even though no, if it's similar to other things also, but not that not that everything else is brought together with it. Now comes the final. It's not final. This is one of the terusim coming up. But this terrace is gonna work. The last terrace is gonna work.
And before you do it, can you explain what the mamatzim is? What is a mamatzim?
You're going further now, right?
Yeah.
The Gemara seems to say, without alumnus, until now we were learning, they'll call it textual analysis. Mm-hmm. That there was a text in the pasuk, Davashay B'chlal, and now it says something about it. Does it go to Midah 8? Does it go to Midah 11? Very Shlosh Esrei Midas. Now the Gemara is saying, also maybe this is going to be one of the Shlosh Esrei Midas, but it's not going to be with the text. It's going to be if I find a certain halacha, and there's no reason to differentiate to a different halacha, not because of the psukim, nothing to do with that. If you see halacha and something else is similar, So you say, just like you see over there, say here too. So we're going to go back to a brother's wife also, but not because it was Davar Shayi B'chlal, and nothing to do with that. Just you see that the Torah permitted a brother's wife, so maybe the Torah also permitted a sister's, a wife's sister, other arise, a daughter, a mother-in-law. This is really what everybody said when we first started the sugya about 5 days ago. Everybody jumped up and said this also, that you see that the brother's wife is mutter. So that's why you might think other arise also. That's what the Gemara is saying now.
Just to
Now
find the
we-
halacha here.
Right.
So then there's a sport to say we should find
Yeah.
that.
If you see that the brother's wife is mutter, even though it's a
Not
herva,
from a drasha.
not from a drasha called Davar Shayi B'chlal and that. But Mama Sina, just like you find over here. So over there too, you see that there's an issur of a erva, and the Torah overrides it. So the Torah overrides other ervas or other rights also. This would be the simplest way to answer the question.
If that would work, then couldn't we just go back to number 8 and say, so then you can't prove that number 8 is wrong.
No,
No,
number 8 is already in the text. That's already, we're going to say that it's, it doesn't, here, the
can't
number
prove
8,
that it
we
is
said
number
number
8.
8, we said number 8 is different over there. It's only if it's saying it in the same direction.
uh-huh.
Over there, go back to the Shlomim over there. First it said that Kachim, eat Kachim when you tummy, so it's Chayiv Koros. And then it says that a Shlomim is Chayiv Koros, eat a Shlomim. So it's nothing to do with this. This is a Ma'amad Zinu that if you find Allah here permit something, so there also, if there's no reason to separate, if there's no reason to say it's different, it shouldn't be different. That's what the Gemara says. Allah Sakidat the Chamela, Teisi be Ma'amad Zinu. You might learn a lot from a Ma'amad Zinu, from a brother's wife. Just like a brother's wife, you do yibum, even though it's a chiv chorus. So you see that the Torah permits a chiv erva. So too, a wife's sister also. Like, why? What's the difference? Just mama sina means like, what's the difference? If you find it over there also. But there's a problem with that. If you have a case of doing yibum to a wife's sister who's not a brother's wife, then it would be nice. The same way it's not to this, it's not to that. But here, don't forget that there's always going to be a brother's wife. The Yibum we're talking about is always a brother's wife, or else the Yibum doesn't start. So you're having a brother's wife and also it's a wife's sister. It's both at the same time. 2 brothers marry 2 sisters. So, and then one of them dies without children. So what are we going to say? That he should do Yibum. He's going to be marrying a brother's wife and a wife's sister. That's 2. So you don't see, even though the Torah is mounted 1 Issur, you don't see the Torah is mounted 2 Issurim. If it would have been 1 for 1, it would have been a case, theoretically, it doesn't exist, but it would have been to do Yibum to a wife's sister, nothing to do with, and have to be a brother's wife. Okay, then it would have been a good limud, but that doesn't exist. That's not Yibum. Yibum was also always when it's a brother's wife. So, therefore, the Gemara is attacking that that's not a good enough reason. Just to say, Ma'amad Sina that's not powerful enough to be able to be matir 2 Isurim. But the Gemara fixes this up. You might think that once the Torah did give a heter of a brother's wife, so it's mutter, and it's going to knock down any other Yisurim also. And that's going to be the rest of the Gemara to prove now that this far is true. All the history, that's it. Hold hutra.
Oh.
Sorry. That since the Torah was matir a brother's wife, so it's going to be matir other Yisurim also. And we're not going to say
maybe since the Torah was matter this woman, he's matter her. She's mutter. Wouldn't that be a better way to say it?
yes.
Again,
Since this woman is mutter, the Torah was matir this woman, even though there's an Arab standing in the way of Yibum to his brother's wife. So she's mutter, even if there are going to be other problems that are going to come up, like being a wife's sister, it's also going to be matir that also. Since she became mutter, the word literally would mean not on the woman. I think it would have said Ishtarya or something like that. The diktuk, I think, if it would have been Nekeva, then it should have said maybe Lashon Nekeva. I think that's going on the Issur. Since the Issur was mutter, so it's matter other things also. I hear what you're saying probably makes sense. That's probably what it means. But I'm just asking that the word, I think, according to the definition, I think Ishtari means in the masculine. But I think the idea is the way you're saying it. That since the woman became mutter and the Issur of brother's wife was ignored, is mutter. So too, the other Yisurim are not going to stand in the way.
The Isurim for her.
Yeah, that she's also a wife's sister. She's a brother's wife and a wife's sister at the same time. So since the Issur of the brother's wife became get in the way, the Torah is going to mount that also. And the Gemara goes now to a left field case, Mamish, a different case altogether, to prove this far of history, and it's going to go on till the next daf. Let's see how far it goes. It goes till here. I'll see how. we have time still. We'll try to get till about 15 lines to the next page. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. If you could think of it, then it's good. I don't know. But we're going to show that it's true. So we're going now to a new subject altogether. The cruise takes us from island to island. Each time is a new scenery. Who tells us that you say it? The more it's going to take a long time to prove it. So a little background over here. We're talking about a
We're
mitzvah.
not finished yet.
We're not finished. What do you mean we're not finished?
After Rebbe said we're gonna finish today, then we're not gonna have to, we're gonna get the answer.
We got the answer. The answer is true. This is the answer. The answer is going to be the answer. We got the answer. Everybody can sleep tonight.
What's the answer?
The answer is that the answer is that since the Torah says that Yibam is mutter, even though it's a brother's wife,
Right,
so you see the Torah disregarded the Issa Erba.
right.
So too, the Torah is going to be matir also, another Erba also, even though it's two Isurim, it's also a brother's wife and also a wife's sister. Don't let that was the kasha in the pink over here. The first Teres is good.
Right.
The first you said this Teres 5 days ago.
Okay.
As soon as we said the kasha, that who says why should you think Erba is mutter? You say because it's always Erba. That's what the Gemara says. It's always Erba, and you see that it's mutter. Torah's matir brother's wife, so it's matir other things also. But the Gemara didn't like that because it is kasha here in the pink. That here you're having two Yisum. It's going to be a brother's wife and also a wife's sister. So maybe not. And that the Gemara is going to say no. That this Farah, that once the Torah was matir, the brother's wife, so it's not going to stop it because of other Yisurim also. Once you see that the Torah said this mutter, even though it was matir and erba, the mitzvah of Yibam was matir erba, a brother's wife. It's matir other Yisurim also. Why are you not happy?
Then what's wrong with the mother-in-law? What's with the daughter?
No, that's why you would think that it does. That's why you would think that that's we're all trying to find. The whole Gemara for 5 down is why would you have thought that it's mutter? The pasuk says that it's asa. The first mission in the Masechta says Chamesh all ever. Yes, but the question we had in the you need the Bryce said a pasuk to say that the Yibam does not override those Yisurim. And the question was, when are you pasuk for? Of course it doesn't. And now we're saying it's not so. Of course, it's not so pasuk. He would have thought that maybe it is mutter to do Yibam even to a brother's wife, even to a daughter, even to a mother-in-law. Why? Because the Torah was matir a brother's wife. And that's the erba.
Right.
And when the Torah is not their brother's wife,
You would think that would be.
maybe I'm about the other arayos also.
Right.
Even though it's two Isurim, even that also.
Right.
And that's what that's going to be the answer. They weren't just going to prove that this far is true. Whole history is true. The answer is true. This answer is going to be the final answer.
Excuse me, when we say wife's sister, we're talking about she's sister to the man who's going to give
A wife's sister, a man, his name is Reuven. He has a brother
Shimon.
and he has a wife. The wife has a sister.
Reuven's wife. Reuven died.
Nobody died yet. Let's take it simple.
Okay,
Two brothers married two sisters. Two brothers married two sisters. So the Reuven and Shimon. Shimon has a brother's wife, who also happens to be a wife's sister. Because his wife, two brothers married two sisters.
Yeah.
You happy?
And then what happened? So
Okay, then now Reuven died,
So Reuven died,
and so his brother should marry the Reuven. Shimon should marry Reuven's wife. That's what Yibum is.
Yeah,
But it also happens to be
the sister of his wife.
right, and that's an erva. That's called lachosishta. So there's two issues going on. Besides being a regular brother's wife, which Yibum accommodates for, it's also a wife's sister, and that's when the Mishnah said in the beginning. Plus another 14 cases that they all arise that he cannot marry them, even though it's Yibum. And
I see, the
the
Ishtar is the Havir.
what?
So the Ishtar is the Havir.
Yeah, we're just doing Havamina. We're doing Havamina for five pages. We're trying to find out what is the Havamina.
Okay, I just
That,
wanted to make sure that-
Yeah, it says in the Mishnah beginning that it's not that even does not override these 15 arise, and the Bryce says a pasuk, and the Gemara is working for 5 pages. What's in the pasuk for? Of course it's not. Of course it doesn't override the arise. And we finally got to the answer that you do find that it overrides a brother's wife. That is also an error, and it overrides it. Together with that, it's going to override everything else also. You would have thought. So the pasuk says Aleha. That's what it says before a long time ago. That it doesn't. And now the Gemara is going to do us the service of showing that this far is true. Whole history is true. And we're going now to another subject altogether. Mamish, enjoy the ride.
So we're finished.
We got the answer, but it's finished. But there's still someone's going to who whole history. Okay, but the answer, that's going to be an answer. Usually it's true here. This far is true usually.
The Sforah is true.
And here the pasuk says, but don't use it over here. Here, don't use it over here. And now the Gemara is going to prove that this far is true. Whole history is a true story. Manot Tamer, I mean whole history. This is like Mamish, going to another planet. Titania, Mitzorah, Shechol Shmini Shalom Erev Pesach. Mitzorah. What's a Mitzorah? He had a leprosy, whatever you want to call it. Not leprosy, but he had a nega and he's a tameh. And after it goes away, after the tzaras goes away, he has a Tara process. The Tara process takes time. And after he goes to the mikvah, and there's a whole process about the birds and everything. But the Maisa, he has to wait 7 days. On the 8th day, he brings a korban.
Yeah.
He goes to the mikvah on the 7th day. He brings a korban on the 8th day.
In the morning,
Anytime during the day.
anytime during the day.
And then he could eat kosher.
Okay.
It happens to be that his 8th day came out on Erev
He
Pesach.
has to eat the kosher. He makes the korban, he brings the korban.
He doesn't have to eat that. That's not eating. He brings a korban. He brings a korban, whatever the korban is. And then he's not eat kosher. This person is Mitzorah. Luckily, his 8th day came out on Erev Pesach.
Good for him, because he has the Pesach offer.
Yeah, because he wants to eat the korban Pesach at night.
Right.
So he just made it. How do you call this? By the
By the skin of his teeth.
skin of his teeth. It's a pasuk in Iyov, the skin of the teeth. We have the pasuk in Iyov. Yeah, it's not invented.
Oh, wow.
So he just made it. The last possible time, the 8th day comes on our Pesach. He tells his wife, Baruch Hashem, I'm going to eat the korban Pesach. Mitzvah shechol shmini shalom ber Pesach, but he had a seminal emission. So what's the problem? Now, if someone has seminal emission at Pesach, it's usually not a problem because he goes to the mikvah and at night he has Harv Shemesh. At night he can eat the korban Pesach. Each thing alone wouldn't be a problem.
Uh-huh.
The fact that he's in Mitzorah, that's the 8th day, he's okay. And the person who's a Balkari on the Erev Pesach is also okay. He goes to the mikvah and eats the korban Pesach at night.
Oh, because
But-
the korban was only to eat at night.
Right.
He's not gonna check.
Right. He's not going to check. Someone else will check.
Kohen.
Yeah, they said he has part of Chabura. The Chabura is taking
Uh-huh.
care. And he's going to eat the korban Pesach at night. So both of them would be another problem. But the problem is that he's both. What's the problem that he's both? The halach is that the Mitzorah and the 8th day process of his Tara, part of the process, he has to put his thumbs into, he has to have the matan bonus. We just spoke about before. From the korban Hashem, they put the blood onto his fingers.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
In order to do that, it has to be in the base of Mikdash. But he's tamei. He can't put it in the base of Mikdash. Now, the truth is that a Mitzorah on the 8th day also can't go into the base of Mikdash.
Was the candle?
He really can't. But the Torah permitted it.
Sorry.
Because every Mitzorah on the 8th day shouldn't go to the base of Mikdash. But he's allowed to put in his thumbs in order to do this matan behonos. And then we're going to talk about that. That's the issue going to be coming up, that even though usually the Torah does not allow Balkari to go into the base of Mikdash, but if the Torah permitted it for the Mitzorah aspect of him, even though he happens to be also a Balkari, all the Ishtari. That's what the Gemara is going to come out. That even though a Balkari is not allowed to go into the base of Mikdash, but the Mitzorah is also not allowed to go to the base of Mikdash. But the Torah permitted it on the 8th day in order to get his Torah process. So included in that, the Balkari is not going to be standing in the way. And that's what the Gemara is going to prove, whole Ishtari. That's what's going to, more or less, that's what's going to happen. The Tanya, Mitzorah shechol shmini shelo b'erev Pesach. A Mitzorah that his 8th day came out on Erev Pesach. So he's okay. He'd be able to bring the korban and eat it at night. But V'ro Keri Bo B'yom. On that day, Erev Pesach, he saw Keri. The Tova went to the mikveh. So now he wants to go and to do the Torah process. Even though usually a Balkari that went to the mikveh and he's at full yom, means he's called the full yom when he went to the mikveh till the night. It's called the full yom. At night it'll be called Harv Shemesh. So usually a Balkari went to the mikveh, he can't come into the base of Mikdash. He has to wait till at night. But Zen Nichnas, this person is allowed to. Now, there are two issues going on over here. We are really interested. I made like a kind of a parenthesis over here. No, the Brisa continues another line.
Okay.
Mutav sheyavo asay sheyesh b'koros v'yitcha asay she'en b'koros. That's what the Brisa is over. But I put it in parentheses over here until one line up from the bottom because we're really going to be interested in Ula at the bottom of the page. But just to say what the Gemara is going to talk about, there are two issues of this person, this Balkari coming in. There are two problems that are happening for him to get in. One is even to go into the Ezras Nashim. To go into Har Habayis, there's Nashim, there's Machne Shechina, Machne Levia, Machne Yisrael. Machne Shechina is the Azara, the courtyard, and everything in there, the base of Mikdash, the courtyard. And then there's the Har Habayis, including the Ezras Nashim. Means the Azara, that's Chayv, Machne Shechina is only the inner courtyard. If everybody remembers the picture of the base of Mikdash, there's the inner courtyard where the base of Mikdash is, there's the outer courtyard called Ezras Nashim. That's also part of Har Habayis. That's halachically is part of Har Habayis, and then you have the whole Temple Mount. And then you have the whole Yerushalayim and other walled cities that's called Machne Yisrael. So Machne Shechina is only the inner courtyard. Machne Levia is the Ezras Nashim, and the whole Har Habayis is called Machne Levia. And then Yerushalayim. So where's the Mitzorah usually Valkyrie is not allowed to go into the Ezra's Nashim. Not only getting, he has to go into the inner courtyard even, but he can't even get even to the outer courtyard. And the Gemara is going to talk about two issues about this Valkyrie. One is to get him into the outer courtyard, to be able to walk into the outer courtyard. And the other one is going to be able to put his fingers into the inner courtyard. And this is going to divide into two parts. This parenthesis is talking about how he could even get into the Ezra's Nashim B'chlal. He's a Valkyrie that he didn't have Shemesh yet. That's going to be this parenthesis. Yeah, but it's a full yom only. He has to have Shemesh. But full yom doesn't go into Ezra's Nashim. And the second part, which we're going to be interested in, how does he get his fingers into the inner courtyard? That's going to be the bottom line, and that's what we're going to talk about. But here the Gemara says, first the Gemara talks about how does he get into the Ezra's Nashim. The Korban Pesach, he wants to do the Korban, you want to do the Korban Pesach. It's better that Korban Pesach, which is Asay, which is 5 courses if he doesn't do it, very, very severe mitzvah Asay. It's a positive commandment, the Korban Pesach, but it's very severe mitzvah Asay because if he doesn't do these 5 courses, that's the level of the severity of the mitzvah Asay. That Korban Pesach should come and override Asay She'en Bo Koros, which sounds like that the Avera to go into the Ezra's Nashim would be Asay, but it's not 5 courses. To go into the Ezra's Nashim, being Kameh, at full yom, would be Asay. It's called an Asay. She'ein v'yatzam v'chos l'machaneh, whatever the pasuk is going to be, that it's a mitzvah Asay. Of course, it means you don't go in, but it was expressed in a positive commandment, and it's no chorus. Now, that's the end of the brisa. Korban Pesach has chorus.
What?
No, sure you know that. Mila and Pesach. Yeah, so there are two Asay sheish b'chorus. Korban Pesach. If someone doesn't do a Korban Pesach, he's chayv chorus. If someone doesn't do a circumcision, he's chayv chorus. Yeah.
No, we just said that yesterday.
Right. So that was the brisa. Rabbi Yochanan explains that this Asay Shein Bo Koros is lav dafka. The Issa for a full yom. Someone went to the mikveh already. To go into the Ezra's Nashim is not only Asay Shein Bo Koros, not Asay at all. But Rabbi Yochanan the Torah afilu Asay lesbam. The brisa is not even an Asay for a full yom to go into the Ezra's Nashim. Shenema pasuk in Divrei Yomim. Vayamod Yoshafat v'Kalash Yehuda l'fnei Chatzar Chadasha. It says Yoshafat, the king Yoshafat, he stood amongst the people before the new courtyard. Chatzar Chadasha. What's the new courtyard? It's a drash over here. My Chatzar Chadasha, Amr Rabbi Yochanan, Shechidshu b'advorim v'amud full yom l'nir kanes l'machnu l'biyah. That there was a chiddush over there. Chadasha means not that it's a new courtyard. There was a new law about it. They made a law that full yom should not go into the Ezra's Nashim. Rabbanan. So when it said in the brisa that Korban Pesach overrides this Asay Shein Bo Koros, it doesn't mean that. It overrides the Rabbanan. That the Issa for a full yom to go into the Ezra's Nashim was only Issa Rabbanan, and the Rabbanan said they waived their Issa. It's only Issa Rabbanan. So they said in order to let him do the Korban Pesach, this person has a problem. He's a Valkyrie who usually Valkyrie doesn't have to come in. He's Valkyrie, he goes to the mikveh and he waits till at night and he's to Korban Pesach, but he has to get in because he's a Matzor. He has to do so. You have to allow him to go into the Ezra's Nashim, even though there's Issa Rabbanan standing in his way because a full yom cannot go into the Ezra's Nashim. So we're going to waive it. A Pesach, the Sheish Bokoris is going to override this Rabbanan. But now the Gemara, the one line up from the bottom, Ula, he's concerned. How does he get his fingers into the that is Issa the Raisa Lachora. It's Issa the Raisa to get his fingers into the inner courtyard, and that you can't say that the Gemara is not happy with that. To say that that's already the Raisa. It might even be chorus. He's going into the inner courtyard. This is what we want. Because since the Torah permits him to go into the inner courtyard every time the 8th day of the Mitzvah, he's not allowed to go. And here the Torah allows him to go because he's about in order to be matim for the Mitzvah. So the Issa of the Balkari is also not going to stand in the way.
I'm sorry. I said carry this is by carry.
His carry.
The Tzuras allows
Tzarato.
So then we let the carry.
Right. Since the Torah allowed the Matzorah, even though he's a Matzorah, he can go into the courtyard to get the Torah, the blood onto his fingers, toes. So too the carry also doesn't stand in the way, and that's what the Gemara means to say by us that whole history that you would think that same over there that since he's mutter for tzaras, he's also mutter for Balkari. So too, you might think that since the Torah is matter for a brother's wife, it also will be matter for a wife's sister. See, it's Pasuk says no. So I thought we can stop here. We can stop here. It's a nice place to stop. The Gemara is going to attack this still, but we can sleep tonight, and then tomorrow will be a problem, and tomorrow will answer the problem. It's going to work out. This Thursday is going to work out. Okay. We ended by the end of the
This
page,
shows that
by
you're-
before me dummy.
I guess that maybe I'm not like Rev Shach and
The Matzorah was about Carrie, this is the history.
Right, Rob?
But even
The case
though,
of the history,
You heard that
true is because what Ula.
right, this was the
Matzorah,
Umanot Temra.
hmm,
This was the Umanot Temra. Who tells you that the whole history?
and
Umanot Temra, they mean the whole history. From this case, that all that since he's mutter to go into the inner courtyard, even though he's in the Torah, and that's usually Asa. So the carry also is not going to stand in his way.
the
So
Rebbe Yochanan, excuse me, the Rebbe Yochanan was just a.
it was in parentheses. We don't need it. We don't need it.
This is Kasha,
That was this definition that they allowed him to go into the outer courtyard.
but who says that we can allow him to go? Uh-huh.
Who says he go into the inner courtyard?
Yeah.
Then that's you need whole history. To go into the outer courtyard is it's a Rabbanon. That's okay. It overrides it.
Uh-huh.
But Ula wanted to know how to go into the inner courtyard. The Brisa doesn't address that. For that, he says because it's mutter for the tzaras, it's mutter for the carry. So too by us, it's mutter for the brother's wife. It's mutter for a wife's
a
sister.
wife. That's what
That's what you might think.
you might-
Mashmalan, 5 pages ago, that's us. Okay,
Yofi.
is everybody enjoying?
Yeah,
To enjoy yevamos. That's
because the wife's sister's still alive. And they both the sisters are still alive.
yes. That happens. That's a technicality.
Two of
Right?
them died, therefore you can't marry, of course.
Why is it? Of course, we're talking about
Why?
that.
Because you know, married
Well,
two
well,
sisters.
well,
Yaakov Avinu was
No, we're talking
held
about this
against
is
it.
5 days going on. Why is saying it's of course? That's the whole issue over here. Is it of course or is not of course? The Gemara says not of course. There has to be as far you would think that it's us, the mutter to marry. That's what we're working on. First we tried to say the Cholosa say the Lochas Eish Bakoris. Then we tried now. I mean, it works. You might think it's mutter because his brother's wife is also us to marry, and he was mutter. So maybe it's going to be mutter also to marry the wife's sister. Yashikar, everybody. Thank you. We'll be back with the Hilchos Purim in a few minutes.